Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Anime Watch Club, a bi-weekly group discussion and review where the hosts of the What You Say Anime podcast nominate and vote on shows either we haven't seen or shows that hopefully lead to a great discussion. On today's episode, it's going to be spicy, so no individual intros for this one, but the gang is all here. But we are going to be talking about one of the most anticipated and one of the most divisive animes of 2025, and that is Shinchioru Watanabe's original Lazarus. Pat, why don't you tell the people a little bit about Lazarus before we jump into our conversation?
Absolutely. So yeah, this Emmy-nominated
True.
show
For the
named
soundtrack.
Lazarus for the show was produced and made by Studio Mappa and premiered in spring of 2025, so a relatively recent show. Also, Adult Swim had a lot to do with it. There's definitely a connection there. Don't know if they paid for it or just bought the rights and then claimed it. I don't know the full details behind that, but I'm sure there's some story involved in there. Genres of action and suspense. I'd say heisty slash a little bit of mystery as well, and rated R. So no kids allowed. But yeah, let's get right off with our first impressions and whether we'd recommend this show or not. Miles, why don't you start us off?
Sure. Going into Lazarus, I had heard bad things about it. People generally don't like the show, though they said there was good parkour, and that was certainly right. The first 4 episodes of the show, I think, are mostly fine. It is nothing to write home about, but I really hadn't made up my mind one way or the other. There were some issues I had, but also there were some good moments, and I think that it's sort of an open book by the time 4 episodes roll around. Spoiler alert, though, I mostly didn't like the show. I just sort of think it doesn't do anything. It's sort of like empty calories or something like that is how I would describe it. Would I recommend it? Not particularly to anyone. I think that there's things that do what it's doing better, and there's like a good number of them, and you can go and watch all of that. I think even if you're like a big Watanabe guy, that this isn't something you would. I mean, you maybe just watch it to be completionist, but it's not needed, honestly. So I would say no.
Alrighty. Kat, what about you?
Yeah. So first impressions of the show were that it looks really good. And it falls into the same issue that I have with, like, the same stumbling blocks that I have with some anime like this, where the start of the storytelling feels like there's a lot of feels like a teenager is making their first OC in a story, like dude serving 888 years or so on and so forth. That's not a spoiler. That just is. And that's where I'm just kind of. So I was kind of feeling like it was going to be one of those shows that I was going to have to suspend my disbelief, and I was very much right. And I don't hate it. I don't like it. It is mediocre as all hell. So with that being said, I don't think I'd recommend it, because a lot of times when I'm recommending a show to somebody, I want them to enjoy the show either more than I did or as much as I did. This show feels like it's not enough action for like some of my shonen bro friends to really enjoy, and it feels like it's not enough story for my story-based friends to enjoy. So I would say no, I wouldn't recommend it.
Alrighty. Jolene, how about you?
Okay. So I think that I would recommend this show to like a very specific subset of person who sort of has a nostalgia for Toonami, Adult Swim, anime block, that sort of thing. Because just watching this show, you get the feeling that like it feels like somebody's Cowboy Bebop or Mirror's Edge fan fiction, which is weird because it's the same guy, basically. You know, there's been other shows I've watched on Adult Swim or Toonami, like Eureka 7, where that feels like Evangelion fan fiction, and it makes sense because like it's a different person that was just obviously inspired from it. It's so weird that it's Watanabe, and this just feels like it's such a retreading of his other works, namely a mixture of Cowboy Bebop and Terror and Resonance, which Terror and Resonance, before if you guys haven't seen that, was also known as his worst work before this. But spoiler alert, I think Lazarus kind of takes the cake on that this time, even though I'm maybe not as low on it as other people. The first thing that really stood out to me as something I enjoyed in this was the soundtrack. I think Kamasai Washington, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that necessarily correctly, and Bonobo do a fantastic job on the soundtrack. The OP is phenomenal, just like the kind of like stuff going on inside of the show as well. Like the soundtrack always matches whatever's going on screen and enhances it in a way that I think is really needed in this show, because a lot of the time what they're doing is not actually going to lead to anything or advance the plot in any meaningful way apart from looking like a cool set piece. Even in the first 3 episodes, I think that everything in this show can kind of be boiled down to they had the idea of, oh, we should have Axel dodge a rocket launcher here or something like that. And then they found a way to work that into the plot without actually considering if it worked. I think that everything that they do in this show is in service of rule of cool and sort of these like set pieces. It feels almost like a Call of Duty game or like a TNT action show. And I think I saw a comment on Reddit actually that was like, this feels like Watanabe went to America and fell asleep in a hotel room with TNT playing on in the background, and he dreamt the most perfect kind of thriller action movie of all time, but forgot all the details. And that is exactly how I feel about this. But despite that, I would still recommend it because I think if you kind of just don't think about it too hard, there's still a lot of fun. And this is just Mappa flexing how good their fucking animators are a lot of the time. So it is still enjoyable from like a technical perspective, but plot wise, the plot holes start showing pretty early, and I think that they only widen as it goes on.
Fair enough. All right. And Pete, how about you?
I was trying to think of a way how I could compare this to like other shows that I've watched. And the best thing that I could think of is when people say, like, when you watch Slice of Life, like nothing happens, but yet I love the shit out of Slice of Life stories. That's kind of how I felt with Lazarus is. It's like the shonen version of a Slice of Life where things are happening, but nothing really happened. Because for the first 3 episodes, I was blown away by the production value. I don't think anybody can say that this show had bad production, because the choreography, the direction, the music was outstanding. There's a reason why it was nominated for an Emmy, but there's also a reason why it wasn't nominated for anything else, and I don't think it's going to be nominated for anything else going forward. It missed a giant part of a fundamental part of a story, which is the story itself. For the first 3 episodes, and this is a story that I dropped midway when it was releasing, I was hoping that I could maybe pick up on something that I missed the first time I watched it, and I realized I didn't. And dropping it the first time was the correct play. So I would not recommend this to anybody. I did not like it one bit, and I don't even know who I would recommend this to be honest. I guess if you like, like I think Jolene mentioned like Mirror's Edge. If you like people who stream Mirror's Edge, you might like this show. Like I don't know what else, because
You like watching a Mirror's Edge speedrun.
yeah, exactly. Like I
stream.
it's like I just like there's so many elements to this that where I'm just like I can't recommend it to so many different people because there's so many components of it missing. So yeah, hard not recommend for me.
All right. Tough to follow all of that. But yeah, so I loved Lazarus. I can't lie. I came in expecting for something. I kept watching, knowing what everyone had been saying about the show and all the flaws or whatever else. I avoided spoilers for the most part, and I just kept watching and really had fun. And that's to be very clear that is not saying that the show is perfect or without its weaknesses or problems. I there are plenty of them, but a lot of the complaints that not only my co-hosts have mentioned, but that I've seen online, I can't really relate to myself. I had an absolute blast with this show. I think it was really fun, and I guess like if you're expecting Casablanca or something really plot not and I say plot driven, but just like something that is so I guess perfectly thought out. But I think Lazarus made sense. I maybe that's like the hottest take, but like I didn't find it to drag. I didn't find it to have no plot or completely missing of devoid of a story. I found it to be quite the opposite. I really enjoyed how it went. So I think people over hated the show, and I think a big part of that is how much they expected coming from this director, coming from seeing that the character and the OP and the futuristic setting made it all seem like, oh, it's going to be Cowboy Bebop, it's going to be Bebop, and I think that that comparison makes the show look a lot worse because it is a lot worse than Cowboy Bebop. But I you know that's a hard show to compare to by most people's opinions. So yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about this show, but I would absolutely recommend this show. Like others have said, from the production side alone, it's beautiful. I thought the voice acting was really good too. I watched it subbed, to be clear too. I don't know if everyone else did sub or dub. I thought the sub was hilarious because there's a lot of moments where they're speaking other languages, and to me it seemed very like tongue in cheek, making fun of like other action movies or other movies of that style, that where it was a little monotone, or you know, thug one says thug things or whatever. Like it felt very aware in the moment, to me at least. So yeah, I would recommend this to most people. I don't know if I've ever been so surprised when I finished a show that there weren't at least some people that were like, "Yeah, that was fun." Everyone just was on the "this stinks" train, and I expected to be there too myself, but I couldn't get there. I really had a lot of fun with the show. So yeah, Miles, do you want to do a quick plot synopsis before we get started, and then
Without your
yeah,
personal bias, Miles, please.
Yeah, I look. I just read Mal. That's here's a spoiler alert. I summarized the Mal paragraph.
it's a good way to do it.
Wow.
Yes.
My immersion has been ruined.
So in the year 2048, Dr. Skinner, a scientific genius dubbed second only to Einstein, developed. Sorry. I say that. I laugh. I laugh
Without
at the
your
first- I
personal
laughed at the
bias,
first sentence.
Miles.
Objectively, though, that's a funny sentence because do scientists really believe that Einstein is the most brilliant scientific mind? I don't think they do. That.
I mean,
like
he's for sure up there, right? Like, but like, I don't know. He's a chemist. Why didn't they pick a chemist?
There's
It doesn't
different
matter.
types of
No,
science.
it's
yeah.
a good question. This isn't the show's fault. This is just that's fair, right? I mean, I guess they do say it in the show, but yeah.
Yes.
never mind.
Developed. There is a thing in this that isn't the show's fault, though. It developed the revolutionary painkiller Hapna. Being cheap with no reported side effects, the drug gained widespread acceptance, even though Skinner himself silently vanished 1 year after launching the drug. Everyone reveled in the heaven of relief and ecstasy provided by Hapna, but they would suddenly come crashing down. It is now 2052, which is 4 years later, and Skinner reappears, giving the shocking announcement that Hapna was designed. Oh, they fixed it. Oh, I'm so proud of them. When we did this for the preview, and this is just in here, but like a lot of the way that they like described this made no sense, and I was expecting that in the show, and it made more sense in the show, and so I was actually relieved a little bit when we first got through that show. Anyways, was designed to mutate into a lethal toxin, killing anyone who had consumed it. While he claims to have a cure, he will only hand it over if he is physically found within 30 days. And then we have a group led by Axel, who was sentenced to 888 years in prison. The group called Lazarus. We see him get recruited to that. It's a group of misfits, and they try to find Skinner. And it's sort of like a Suicide Squad situation where, for multiple reasons, I guess, if they decide not to do this, they will be killed. But also, if they don't do this, everyone dies. So I don't know how good the Suicide Squad thing was, but what do you do? Anyways, that is
It was the vibe, though. It was the vibe, right? Like they were held against their will to do it. That's a good description, I think. Against their will initially, I should say. Right.
It depends person to person, right? Like some of them wanted to be there, and some of them
the
didn't,
NSA so heavily.
But shout out to the Mal people for fixing what was terrible in the synopsis and making it better and more accurate.
Shout them out. 6 months later, at least. Well,
Yep.
who knows when they fixed it, but
Yeah.
we'll love it when they finally go back and fix their AI writing work and turn it into the translation
They
work.
asked ChatGPT a second.
Yeah,
company.
it was like, oh no, Hapna has a short half-life of 3 years, which is an absurdly long half-life for a drug, like borderline impossible.
It's the wrong way to phrase it, and they don't say that in the show. Yeah, they don't say it
The
like
show
that.
would
They
have been
say
cooler if you
yeah,
were
no,
like,
I have no idea how it
Miles,
happened.
this show would have been cool if you were like a gym teacher or something. I'm just saying.
It's true.
If you were a
Um,
barista, this show might have gone hard, huh?
it, I
Somebody
don't
named
I
another profession. That's the only two I know.
I will say I was expecting all of the science to be complete garbage in this, but like only half of the science was complete garbage in this, which honestly makes a big deal because when you have like a sci-fi thing, you have to suspend your disbelief for like some amount of it, right? Because it's like technology. He's so smart. He invented a thing that can't exist. Whatever. Like I can allow that. So
especially since it's in the future, right? And like, look at how much medical science has evolved in the last 20 years for us, let alone
yes,
30 years in the future from now, right?
Yeah, so like I don't have a problem with the general premise of this. Like I thought I was going to based off of how the synopsis was initially written, but I was surprised pleasantly with the show that they did sort of cover that sort of basis. Anyways, we do have some talking points though. Okay, so the first talking point we're going to do is just the story generally. It's sort of interesting because there is a central story, but then we also have these episodic episodes. So let's start on positive. Pat, you can tell us what drew you into the story, what you liked about it, and then the rest of us can give some stuff about maybe what took us out and also maybe what brought us in, if there were, things that hit for us. So
Yeah, absolutely. So right off the bat, I almost wasn't that high on the show the first episode, just because I almost had my suspension of disbelief, as we were talking about a little bit with the medicine, about how ridiculous this guy's parkour running was in the first episode. It was so, but at the same time, I guess it probably helped me in the long run. But my first initial reaction was I did not love the stuff he was doing. It was like, this isn't human. Like, even if you have like a painkiller drug or whatever running through your system, this is so ridiculous. It's so over the top. But I guess that just set my brain to, oh, he's James Bond, or oh, it's an action movie setting. He's running around like that. So I think the cast did interest me right off the bat. I think that speaking specifically about Axel in that moment, but all of the cast had like their quirks or their things about them that they introduced in those first few episodes that I really liked. I thought the setting was really cool. Some of the biblical and historical or mythological references were very cool as well. Drew me in, made me wonder what they were going to do. Obviously, with Lazarus being the name of a man who was resurrected by Jesus, so I knew that was going to come in at some point. It's the good old New Testament stuff. Babylonia, the first civilization, your recorded human civilization. That was I was curious what that tie-in was going to be, and we eventually got there as well by the end of the story. So I don't know, and then the hypercube train, that was sick. So I don't know. I thought the world building was really good. I think that is something that drew me in. That's the aspect, like that aspect drew me in. I thought it was a very interesting take on what the future of the world would look like with 30 years of technology improvement, which I thought, especially comparing it to another show that I think has insanely good world building by the same director in Cowboy Bebop. His vision of what was it? I guess 2070 from the 90s versus 2050 now from the 2020s, I think was a really cool thing to see. Like what technology, like, oh, smartphones are a thing now rather than just like radios that work. Like that was their vision back then beforehand. I thought it was really cool to see all the technology that they came up with. And I guess that's where I would start with it. I was completely intrigued by the world building.
Carol and Tuesday is also 10 years before Cowboy Bebop, so it's in between these two.
That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, and I know it's technically the same universe or whatever. I don't pay attention to that though, unless there's a direct reference, I suppose.
Watanabe just be saying shit.
It's yeah, like that's like, all right, let's because like, oh, wouldn't that have been covered in Carol and Tuesday. Like,
When
all
have
right,
anyone
leave me
mentioned
alone.
this whole event? Yeah.
In Cowboy Bebop, like
Literally,
leave me
They
alone.
go
You
to
know,
Earth they go to Earth in Cowboy Bebop and it never gets mentioned. Like I get it. This came after that. Yep.
yeah, it came and wasn't the Earth accident like 2020 something as well? So it would have happened like 20 years before
Yeah,
this show happened.
okay.
So yeah, again, we're going off track, but I think it's funny. It is a funny thing though that like this director had said so much stuff that's just not. They just yap, you know. So, but
Okay.
this is that's my take on it. At least that's what drew me in right away because again, the parkour was cool, but it was also like, whoa, I don't know if I like this. But then it kept going and kept the same tone throughout, which is what really held me in.
And Pete, let's hear the opposite side of that coin.
Yeah,
what's
it's funny.
taking you out?
Yeah, it's funny that Pat brought up world building because I didn't see any in this show, like anywhere ever type of thing. I know if I was I don't know, run of the mill Starbucks employee, if the world was ending, I know I would be going to work like everybody else having a peaceful day. I guess to me, like the biggest thing that detracted from the show to begin with was the lack of world building. The fact that everybody essentially in the world knows that their time is coming to an expiration and society just seems like it's moving at a steady pace. Like the concern of the public is like not even recognized until something like episode 9 where we see like an active shooter situation where somebody like finally snaps. And to me, like that was like a huge detriment to like what we're trying to describe this world as. Because it's a world that doesn't have fear. It's a fear, or it's a world that has logic, and it's a world that has thinking, and it's a world that has all these things outside of losing the concept of fear. And it's just nothing is happening in this world. Like it's just like a day-to-day situation. And so I thought right away how they built up the world was bad. But like the thing that drew me away the biggest from the first time that I watched this was how many like character-driven episodes that there were for me to not give a single shit about any of these characters. Like the chemistry of the team itself is negative. Like we have minimal backstory of almost every single character and no explanation to why we should be cheering for them outside of them maybe saving the world. But if you look at something like Licorice Recoil, which has like a similar scenario with like the hacker team and all these other stuff, they do things to make us so we care about the characters and have fun with the characters. With this, it's just like Axel is what do we know about Axel? He's a felon, he does parkour, and he's here against his will. But like we don't have like any inner monologuing of Axel of who he is as a person, and we don't have that with any of the characters in the story. So to me, these all just feel like insert NPCs that are there to play a role in the story. And so when you have something with like, for me, I've only seen a handful of Watanabe, but like Carol and Tuesday, when we have a larger cast, they show us ways for us to care about the characters in the story, even when it is a larger cast. And this, they're giving time for the characters, but never a reason to why we should care about them. And so to me, when I have these, let's take episode 6, for example, with Elena, where the outcome of her like situation doesn't really affect anything at a whole. We don't know why she escaped from her compound. We don't know how she became a hacker. All we know is she came from a society that had no technology and now is the world's biggest hacker. I would really like to know how she got to that point, and that's never explored in the show. So just sort of like a lack of, I guess, interest in these characters really killed the story for me.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. We'll probably touch upon those episodes, the little deep dive episodes later, and we can get into details there about if or why we cared about those. But Kat, you had some stuff to say?
Yeah. So for me, one of the things that that actually drew me into the story, because I want to start with positives, is that I actually enjoyed some of the honestly, I'm not even gonna try and sugarcoat it. The main thing that drew me into the story at the beginning was when Doug said there's gonna be no Black Einstein, and he was like, so I punched that dude in the face, and I was like, hell yeah, brother.
Yeah,
like that was it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was like, all right, I'm in it for the long haul. I want to see the black dude do black things. Lo and behold, one of the things that brought me out of the story was he did not do black things for most of the story. So that's a minor one. One of the main things that drew me out of the story, and this is odd because I did like some of the action when I could suspend my disbelief. I really didn't like how invincible Axel was. Like during episode 10 and 11 when he was like jumping around doing a bunch of parkour, but he was doing parkour and actively like just jumping from heights, because that specifically a different example, I think it was like episode 5 or episode 8, somewhere around there. He jumps from one ledge to the next, and I remember slowing the show down, and he dropped 4 stories and grabbed onto a ledge. That would break his hands.
Did you see the last episode?
Yeah, I know.
Watch him get stabbed in the gut and be able to run around and do parkour 2 episodes later. Yeah, it was really it was a really ridiculous thing.
I fucking loved the Kingdom Hearts fight. Like that was some shit you'd be mashing triangle in Kingdom Hearts 2 to do the fucking shit he was doing in that falling skyscraper.
It was absolutely ridiculous, but at that point I had already given up on like,
his name's even Axel.
Like these characters are invincible, you know, like that's how I felt about it at least.
Well, that's the other thing. In episode 11, we see that Doug gets hit by a truck. He gets hit in the back of the head, he gets hit by a truck, and then he's down. So we have this one dude who can literally tank getting stabbed through the fucking spinal column, and another dude who can't get hit by a truck. Are you fucking kidding me?
Brazilians are built different. Brazilians are built different.
But Cat, he's wearing the necklace that keeps him protected. They show that in the story.
The necklace
that's the Hundun wing.
I'll not believe you.
the animal that, or the mythical beast that does get stabbed multiple times and then continue on, even full of holes. Yes,
it dies
that's a very good
later though.
Well, so we'll see in season 2 if that happens.
We're gonna have 7 seasons of Lazarus.
Yeah,
God, no.
Kat, I agree. Counterpoint: he somehow did all that post going to like some super fancy rich doctor versus being in a hospital in Pakistan. Would be my only counter, but I do think it was.
He used the tunnel effect. It was fine.
No, I agree. The invincibility of the characters. No, it's extremely ridiculous. But again, I don't know, James Bond gets shot in the neck and falls into a waterfall, and that's the start of like one of the best movies of the James Bond series. You know, like he the fact that he survives anything is it's like it's just an action thing that. And again, I'm not blaming you if you can't suspend your disbelief for that either, and that's why you didn't like it. I just think that that's what this was, or that's the way I took it, and I just rode with it.
Going because that wasn't my only thing that made me like get out of it. Some of the things that happened, like specifically, honestly, one of the things that actually drew me in, and I'm gonna use this as a juxtaposition. One of the things that actually drew me in was when we were seeing some of the when we went to the nightclub where there were dudes that were just being awful to women, because of course they are. Like, that drew me in, not in like that drews me in because I want to see this. It drew me in because it was like, there's some tension here. There's something here. There's going to be something that like there is actual stakes in the situation, because it doesn't feel like there's stakes outside of it. So I was like, okay, let's see what happens. And of course it ends like, yes, it is interesting, but that versus the stakes outside of that, like we have all these people, like just the only stake, and I get that this is the same thing that drew Pete out, but like one of the things that genuinely drew me out of it was like the only stakes that we saw outside of the active shooter situation was the Dow Jones crash. That was it. Like that was the only other like consequence of this until we saw the president just be like, I have starry
And we don't
eyes.
even see the repercussions of these actions. It's just like the stocks are down, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Like the world seems perfectly fine outside.
I feel like when the intro to HQ or whatever, when the people are all running around and getting shot and shit, I feel like that low key is meant to be something like that, but they just do such a bad job of explaining the context of that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because it could just be a day in LA. I'm telling you. Like
I've been to LA before. They be losing their fucking minds.
Yeah, but like they do show the hospitals are getting overdone.
I like that scene.
Like they're getting overwhelmed, and it's talked
Mr.
about.
Pharmacy, you're making money off of it. Fucking
yeah. My thought is, I agree that it seems like, oh, they would be complete anarchy. Like, why are these soldiers still showing up to work? Why are these people, whatever? But at the same time, the world, like we 10 years ago, I would have been like that. Since the pandemic, similar to like with Shiki, I totally buy it. Like people believed the threat, and don't get me wrong, they thought it was like in this case, like Hapna was bad, and that there was a real possibility of it happening. But when half of our country doesn't literally now believes autism is caused by Tylenol, like that's it's tough to, or it's believable. I think to me that some people would just keep living life, and I think that that's also an examination of humanity, and something that the show was trying to do is
they didn't show people buying out toilet paper.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of Hapna. Like we did have things that, like they didn't show the streets. I mean, I guess it's different when it's not like a contagious thing. Like they wouldn't have like a quarantine where the streets would be empty or anything. But like I think that if the cult would have been like a mega church or something like that instead, that had just popped up rather than a background thing for a character who at that point basically had no character apart from giving them W's via hacking, like that would have been more believable to me. But like I just think that they didn't show, like, besides like they said the Dow Jones thing, I don't think it was really shown like the effects of something like this.
Yeah,
I think the best world building that they showed was that everybody had done Hapna, and that is something that I think is so believable because if that actually existed instantaneously, people will be like it would be so hard to get because it would just be bought out every single time. Like look at Ozempic or something like that.
It would be hard to make enough. Part of the issue, like talking more into this, was that like okay, so we explore that homeless camp, right, which is pretty interesting, but like when we go back there at the end, I guess I would like some like middle stages, right? So we know the economy is crashing and people are losing their jobs and there's a bunch of crime and stuff where you're like told these things, but I feel like that would be a great place to show it as well, where you maybe see that camp growing in size, or you see people who you saw with jobs and stuff in the background of that camp or whatever as the world slowly goes to hell for the last several days or whatever. I guess I would have just liked more sort of subtle background storytelling in it. And part of it, I don't know, what really took me out is that like this group of people are just all sort of like F tier detectives. That was the hardest part for me. Like the heart medication thing sort of drives me insane. The way that they did that, there's no reason they couldn't have found that like episode of, instead of being like, oh, what's this thing that we need to know anything we can about this man. Here's some medication he was on. I forgot about it. Good thing it fell out of my pocket so that I can say what it is and everyone else can be like, oh, we should actually just do that. We should look into this, because that's what leads them to finding him eventually. And there's that. There's the fact that Doug sees him in the homeless camp and is like, that guy really looks like Skinner, and then just goes on. And it's like, I don't know, to be like, hey, are you Skinner? Yes. Oh, I did it. And then the show was 2 episodes long. It just, I know, I get what they were trying to do, right? Like, I just think they did it in a way that makes our heroes look kind of stupid. It's just a bit bizarre to me. Another thing too on this thing is, as you were saying, like something with like the Shiki or like a real life experience with COVID or something. I would have thought it would have been interesting to see a faction of people, a group of people that just didn't think this was going to happen, because there's no proof that it's going to happen, right? Everyone just sort of believes it. And I would have liked to see some sort of like turmoil between characters that like thought this was going to happen, characters who didn't think it was going to happen, people who took Hapna, people who didn't take Hapna. Like I would love to see that, because surely everyone didn't take it. Like
there was a faction, though, I would argue. No, isn't that the whole point of Schneider and his character? Like he's trying to cover up. Why would you bother covering something up like the Hapna terrorist situation if the world is just going to end in 30 days?
That's a good question
anyways?
that I would have for him, because like maybe he just assumed it would get sorted out, but he out of all people should know that it is happening, because he helped develop the thing it's based on.
He helped run tests on prisoners in a prison for
And they
a
died.
pharmaceutical company. They died with the prototype of it. Yes.
Yes. So I guess what I'm saying is like out of all people, he has maybe the most direct evidence that it will in fact kill you.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going along trying to cover up the fact that he was building a biological weapon or whatever.
I guess it would just be like, to me, it would be like, yeah, he is trying to build a biological weapon for future wars that wouldn't happen if they didn't figure out the vaccine. So like, I guess my thought is that like people just want to like I wanted to ask this question to you guys too, but like, what would you do if you were just a random person in this world? Like, would you like start looting stores, or would you kind of just? I mean, I probably wouldn't. Don't work right now, but like I wouldn't show up to work, I guess. But like at the same time, like what else would I do? You know, like what am I gonna like just go out on the streets and fuck shit up for like 30 days straight? Probably not. Like I guess that's where I didn't feel like there was a need to show that outside of the little bit of exposition we get from the news or from the
I'm not saying you need to show looting or anything. I just want to see, because it would have an effect on society if all of a sudden the majority of everyone believed we had 1 month to live, right? And I think some people would go about their daily lives. I think that is absolutely true. But I also think that, I don't know, I think there's a lot of interesting sociopolitical stuff they could have shown, or like just sociological, that is like, what happens to people who, like, if you can confirm somehow that you've never taken Hapna and you get to live, like, can you leverage that somehow? Like, you know what I mean? It's just sort of like all of this stuff that could be. And then another interesting thing would be like the general slow, like someone definitely just took Hapna 1 day before that, right? Like
So,
they were like, you know what,
finally broke 1 day before.
Like, I don't get a lot of headaches in my life. Like, I'd be fucked, right? Like, I'm taking Advil at least 10 times a month, right? And so if there was better Advil, I'd be taking that. But, there are people out there that probably go a whole year and don't take any painkillers, And so I guess I would like to have seen that sort of stuff too. It's hard to fit it all in. They have 13 episodes to do all of this. And maybe it's just sort of the scope of this being a little bit beyond what they could do, and they had to pick and choose, and it just didn't work for me because of that. But I don't know. It was sort of like the lack of that information, and then getting back to it, like the amount of contrivances that, like, I never got the feeling that this group was really good at anything, except for I knew Elena was good at hacking and Axel was good at parkour, but that ended up never really mattering. I thought they would like have to chase Skinner or something, but he ended up fighting someone completely unrelated to the entire thing. So, I don't know. That was just sort of it for me. Like, there's where Chris gets kidnapped, and they're like, look, I know there's 5 days left before everyone dies, but she's our partner and we're going to go save her. If I knew that these people who are supposed to like save me were doing this, I'd be upset.
She does get upset at them for trying to save her. Yes,
though,
I agree.
They would have never found him had they not, because she would have never gotten to drop the pill she should have told them about in episode 2 out of her pocket.
Correct.
So wow.
Pop that
Look at
shit
that.
immediately, by the way.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I was gonna ask you guys, by the way, if you would do Hapna, but it's a moot question because of fucking course you would.
Of course.
Yes.
You'd be stupid not to.
There's no downsides allegedly, and it just stops pain. Okay.
It's literally like how they describe weed in Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story.
You don't want none of this shit, man.
You don't want none of this, Axel.
I have brand loyalty to something that isn't Hapna. Anyway, Miles, one of the things that you were talking about, honestly, one of the things they could have probably done, instead of having, like, in the first, I think it was like 6 episodes, because I watched the dub, where they had like each character like giving like a monologue. Instead of doing that, take like 5 to 10 seconds in the beginning, or 20 seconds at the beginning, well, however long that monologue was, and make it a montage of what's going on in the world. How are things changing? How are things looking? And that wouldn't take a lot of stuff. Like, it would just be a PowerPoint of, hey, this is all the stuff that's happening. They wouldn't have to say a thing, and then they would start with the intro and then move on. That would be great.
You can even do the monologue over it, honestly.
Exactly.
Can I give you a counterpoint though, that like those monologues were really important to showing like the way that the characters
I
themselves
liked the
viewed-
monologues a lot, actually.
it gave
I
a lot of
did. That's why I suggested they stay in.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm just saying, like, I think I disagreed heavily. I don't know, probably 20 minutes ago at this point, when like I thought the characters, we had plenty of depth to look into them, and like we didn't get too many specifics on their backstories, yes, but like I think it was more, there were hints to it, or things that were done throughout those middle episodes as well, to show us who their character was before Team Lazarus and what their character was becoming after being part of Lazarus. You know, a rebirth almost. You know, by the end of the show, a Lazarus of some kind. You know, so that's the way I looked at it, and I think that those monologues were a way for them to show that at the beginning of the show. I thought I really enjoyed the monologues as well too, being my broader point in that moment. But yeah, I guess go ahead, Miles. Sorry.
The only thing that, and this isn't necessarily, I think this is less on the monologues and more on the overall direction of the show, but what was y'all's impression about the effect of Hapna on people? Because I got sort of mixed messages between, it's this miracle drug that just like works very well, and then like also, but like, why weren't kids allowed to use it? You know what I mean? It's like,
I think nobody really seemed to like you don't really see how it affects people. Like, it just felt like everybody was normal, more or less, and it didn't really change how they viewed shit or anything. Like, apart the islanders that they introduced, who are the basis for the drug, like they at least have the guy getting like cut by the fish, and Popcorn Wizard, my wife, kicking her thing on the car and being like, see, I don't feel shit. Like, I guess it kind of explains why, you know, the Lazarus unit are able to like get impaled by a harpoon or hit by a car, or, you know, tortured or whatever, and or, you know, like almost burned to death, that sort of thing, and they don't really complain all that much and are able to like keep going.
But
like,
Hapna, you have to take it more than once.
I would
right?
assume so, yeah.
But they have the special immunity.
They have the
thing.
gene where they pretty much, I assume
Okay,
the gene thing was them basically saying that they have it at all times.
And before we move on to that silly plot point, I saw Miles's heart rate go up there, like through the screen.
Yeah, I felt it.
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight, I think that it's part of the overarching plot or point that Skinner was trying to make, about how I literally gave the world this miracle drug that removes pain, and we still don't give a shit about the fact that the world is about to end, and we're not doing things. We're not using it for good. We're using it for well, I mean, I guess somewhat good, but like for partying, and potentially then, of course, from the military's perspective, for chemical warfare, or bio warfare, however you'd want to phrase it in this case. Like that was, I think that was kind of the point of them not showing. But also, like, I'm kind of glad that it was focused more on the main cast, and then the tertiary characters that would be impacted during those episodes, like you said, Jolene, with like the fishermen or other, the other hackers being involved, like that. I thought that was more where I wanted the character focus rather than on, just seeing like some random kid fall over in the background and then get up and act like nothing happened. I know that's like a dumb example, I guess, but that's like what I would think of as like visual storytelling happening
Okay.
around the Hapna.
I want, yeah, I wonder if this is like a genuine effect, because like I always viewed it as like, okay, so I wake up with a migraine and I take some Excedrin, right, which is just like 3 painkillers mixed together, and then, but like it seems like some of you, Pat specifically, maybe other people, like view it as more of like a preventative thing. Like people were waking up and being like, time to not feel pain today, and then like taking the Hapna, and so I guess I just wish a little bit we had seen people how it was used more concretely.
You saw the guy in the second
Well, 'cause
episode.
it's like an
abusing it.
SSRI too, right? Because it makes you. It's also like an antidepressant.
We
That is,
saw it. Yeah, yeah. We
So
saw
you
it in the
would. A
second.
lot of people probably would. Sorry to interrupt, Pat. I'm sorry. A
No,
lot of
it's
people
okay. I was
probably would take it daily, right?
Yeah, like we saw the guy in the second episode literally abusing it, right? Like still taking it. We see in the first few episodes too, we see that people are still popping it because they're trying to, I guess, deal with the pain of knowing they're going to die in 30 days.
yeah,
And
I
then
mean,
in
you
the
might as
third
well.
episode, right, exactly. And then, which is again, I guess, like the helplessness feeling. That was something else I meant to mention when I was talking about like why I think people just kept going on. Cause like, what am I myself going to do in that situation to help in this scenario? There's nothing I can do. I might as well just I guess live my life. But circling back to then, it is the third episode or the third or fourth episode where they go to the club. Either way, that I feel like that episode shows people using it recreationally as well, like how it was used recreationally at the club and as a
Okay.
part of it. That's what
Yeah,
I
well,
looked
I'm
at.
gonna let Kat get in. I guess I meant more what it does specifically. I don't know. It's vague. It's a little vague
It is.
exactly how it works, which is maybe intentional, but I wish it wasn't. Kat, you had some points here.
Yeah. So the thing about this is and it reminds me of Miles. I'm pretty sure that you know about this because you probably learned about it when you were in university. But like the radium, I forget what his name was, but like the snake salesman who was selling radium as like a miracle drug, and like the radium drugs that were putting it on their like we're painting it on the nails and like putting it on like watch faces and stuff like that. Like how it like kind of helped them. It made them feel a lot better until it literally started eating their bones, or eating into their bone marrow. Like that. That kind of reminded me of this almost immediately. Or it was like, okay, well, yeah. I mean, the dude who literally lost his jaw because he was taking radium every day, or Radithor, the medicine that had radium in it. He was taking radium every single day, and then he lost his jaw and died. I think it was a year later. So
It'll be pretty quick if you're taking radium every day.
I don't remember how quickly it was, but him and the dude that was running the snake oil company ended up dying and being buried in lead caskets because of it, because radium is radioactive. Anyway,
William Bailey
yeah.
died of bladder cancer, oddly enough.
Ah,
I wonder how that happened.
yeah.
Apparently, according to this, they exhumed him, and he was ravaged by radiation. I
Who would've
wonder.
thought, man.
Yeah,
Why?
I don't know when were the Radium Girls? Where's
Radium
this?
Girls
2000,
were,
that was in the 20s. I've seen that movie. It's a great film.
1920s.
Yep.
Would you say it's
okay.
better than Lazarus?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Would
didn't
you
know. Is
recommend
there like
it
a documentary
based
on
the
it, or
first-
Yeah,
is it
they're
like
yeah,
a
they're
like,
movie?
they're like they deal with like paint. I think that's what it was.
Yes, they
Yeah.
painted on the
Yeah,
wall.
they painted.
surfaces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Because at
used
night it would glow. It would glow green on them, so that soldiers would be able to check the time at night.
Yeah, they used it for, like, as you were saying, like nail polish and other body paint things and stuff. So
pretty much all of them died, and the people that were running the factory knew the risks of radium. Some of them ended up getting cancer as well, but not as quickly and not as devastatingly as the radium girls.
People do a bad job with radioactive stuff.
Oh yeah.
Just historically.
Nuclear.
I say it like that, by the way.
Yeah.
Probably.
All
Homer
right.
Simpson?
Anyways, it's George Bush. But
It's like a southern
Homer
accent
Simpson
way of
goes
saying it.
nuclear. It's pronounced nuclear.
Fool me once,
I-
shame on you. Fool me once, can't get played. Can't
Nuclear.
Nope.
Oh my
Um,
God, okay, good luck.
yeah, good try.
I
Good luck.
tried.
All right, Miles, I
Can't get
said
fooled again.
we'd come back to your point that you were going to make when your heart rate picked up. So, would you like to move on to there? I'd suppose, because I think
I guess I would like to talk about this because at the end we learned that all of these people were there during what is called the airport incident, which is when Skinner was trying to smuggle out a biological weapon so that he could like whistleblow about it. And then the U.S. military shoots up his backpack that has the biological weapon in it, and like a bunch of people die. And we learn that their genes mutate. Whatever. These 5 people were like immune to it, and there's a few issues here. One, we explicitly learned that Axel is not affected by the drug, right? It didn't work on him in his clinical trials. He didn't die like everyone else. So, good foreshadowing there. Unfortunately, we know the drug works on at least Elena and other people. So like why that? And then also, how did Skinner live is a question I have, because we know he's not immune, because that's what kills him. But he was in hospital gas sarin land and sort of lives. I don't know. The whole thing is a little hokey. They also, again, they try tying it to Lazarus being raised from the dead, but they never died. They were just in a situation that would kill people, but they didn't die.
Is that not a metaphor? Like that's a metaphor for.
I don't
for
know.
their
Like
new lives.
I don't get poison ivy when I touch.
I don't
you
either.
know? Yeah,
That's 2 out of 5 in the podcast. It's a lot.
Lazarus.
I guess my counterpoint to, or like I get what you're saying about Skinner surviving. I think it was ridiculous he didn't get shot more than anything. But him surviving
true.
the chemical thing is because he gets a new heart. That's the whole point of the whole new heart part. He gets a new heart, and that's what the that's why he survives. Elena survives because the whole point is that the fever was a red herring, or like they realize afterwards, like, oh, we are immune to the drug. We didn't realize it because she didn't know at the time, so she thought she was actually. And you know how your brain can. I guess the way I interpreted it as well was like the brain perseverates and makes, if you think that you're going to get sick, you often do get sick or whatever. What's that called? I forget what the phenomenon's called, but there's a medical term for it. But yeah, like I guess that's the way I interpreted it with her being sick and then just getting magically better. So that's where I thought my biggest problem with the airport incident is the idea that something like that could be covered up. I think that is such a that is the biggest crap shoot, especially in modern. I guess it's semi-modern because it happened in 2020, 2025 or something like that in this timeline.
It happened 3 years before, so it happened the same year Hapna was released, which is a whole other issue, but that's neither here nor there. But it happened 3 years ago. Yes.
I don't. No,
I promise you. Yes, I know it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. It was actually 4 years, but yes.
Okay.
Are we sure?
Yes,
Like,
2048. Yep.
And now Axel's just a 23-year-old guy.
Yep. Yeah, there's some issues around the airport incident. Like, even the fact that this is what caused Skinner to snap and make the evil drug, but the drug came out later that calendar year for the general public is like literally impossible.
Well, I interpreted it as that was the prototype as well. Like what happens, the prototype is what gets blown up, and what he was going to also blow about. So then he goes on to then do the drug later.
No, but the drug Hapna, the Hapna we all know and love, right, comes out the same year as the airport incident.
Okay, wait, but that doesn't
make any sense.
Okay, but no, that's not messing with my timeline about when he.
So he says that the airport incident made him lose faith in humanity, right? And so he developed Hapna to like to give us all something to worry about in like an Ozymandias from Watchmen sort of fashion, right? Give a
reference.
Thank
reference,
you.
yes.
Similar plot. This one works better, I guess. But like, I don't know. Maybe this is only a plot hole because I know how long it takes to make medications and like get the FDA to approve it and all of that. But like, if it released that year, they had to have been working on Hapna for the last decade, like in clinical trials and stuff. And so I just don't know how he would have he couldn't have altered it at all. But I don't know. That's that. What did we all think about the ending? Let's talk about the ending. Because there's a lot of things to go over in the ending. There's the demon thing. There's the actual end. I don't know. Who's got thoughts on the ending?
I thought it was.
I think.
You go ahead.
Sorry, I liked the ending in a way because I felt like you could watch just like the first. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier. I forget. You could watch like the first 4 episodes of this and then episode 13, and you're basically good on the plot. So like seeing episode 13 was fine, but I think that it was definitely like a huge letdown in a lot of way, and that it felt like things, despite like the kind of like timer and tension they tried to put on it, it felt like everything got resolved really easily. And with the way that they went about things, it wasn't really satisfying. It just made the team feel incompetent that they didn't know that that was Skinner right at the beginning in the first place they visited.
Pete, you were going to say stuff?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty bullshit just in general. The fact that it felt like everything got wrapped up in like 90 seconds in that last episode, that the whole it was right underneath our nose thing like wasn't clever at all, because like there really wasn't like, I mean, there was like clues, but like I just felt like it was like kind of just, this is how we're going to write it. We don't know really how we're going to figure this out. It felt really cheap.
Another thing that for me, if you have a madman, because let's call it as it is, if you have a madman that has actively created a drug that is going to kill you, and he says, "Come find me," because he's basically just the Riddler, like, why are you not like getting everyone on board and saying, "Hey, look for this man everywhere"? Like that's a pretty, that's a pretty baseline thing, because nobody wants to die, and it sounds like pretty much everybody's taking this drug. So
I thought they did personally, and the whole point of the homeless community, they mention it. Nobody talks about anyone's past. They don't perseverate on that. They know you're just trying to survive, and they build a community around who you are in that moment rather than who you were in the past. I guess that's the way
If you recognize this MF as Skinner, then that it goes against just trying to survive, because he is going to kill humanity.
Yeah, if Hitler was at the camp, I think someone would be like, "Yo, that's Hitler." Like,
yo, look at his little mustache.
Like, he didn't even dye his hair. He looks the exact same.
He's
like,
just wearing a beanie and sunglasses. That's literally
it's like there's no brotherhood of these homeless people. Like, they don't have a sworn oath that they're going to all like die by the sword or some shit. They would rat in a second, because any logical human being would. They don't want to die.
He's making mustard gas in the metal barrel. What are you talking about?
I guess
they don't know him. Why did it's like, it's not a sworn brotherhood.
No, it's the whole. They talked about it during the episode, like, and during both the episode where they went to the camp.
Person mentioned it. The whole community is not.
The community leader mentioned it.
Yeah,
like that.
You don't think a single person would rat them out? You think like everybody in that community is serving by an oath to whatever forgot her name, but like
Jill.
Yeah, like would you honestly, would you expect that from like a community of people? Like, not one person would snitch?
I took him still looking somewhat like himself to be a little clue for us to potentially find, more than that's like actually how the characters around him see him. Because like again, he kept to himself, was going blind, was relatively isolated in their scenario. And I don't know, I think people in situations like that are more like just focused on trying to survive day to day than the bigger picture.
Do you know that?
I also
I
have-
feel-
What do you
I
think
feel
a
like
good
from
way to
talk-
get out of that situation would be? You think, I don't know, ratting on the most terroristic person in the world maybe would help them?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
That again, but we don't know that they know. I guess is my point. Like I don't know. We're projecting.
I also have a
I feel like
counterpoint for you, Pat.
Mhm.
So the thing is, like, yes, they're sworn by an oath to not talk about their past.
They are not, by the way.
They aren't, by the
Yeah,
way.
they're
That's
not.
why I'm
They're not.
annoyed by that too.
Yeah,
They
I
are
get that.
not.
I get
The whole point
Oath
is though they just
crazy.
I didn't
took
say
an
an oath,
oath to the
though.
government.
I know
No.
you did it. I was talking to
so-
Kat.
Here's the thing. In that same scene, or in that same like area, like in that same situation, at the same time, we see that Axel is playing basketball with the dude that is trying to swindle him out of his money. Like, that is kind of like, yes, there's this whole thing where they're trying to, like, you don't talk about anybody's past, but you've also got a dude that's trying to steal from someone else, like steal from somebody else that may not be from the same, like, homeless camp, but he's actively trying to swindle people out of money. And I'm pretty sure, I don't doubt that he might have tried to steal from other people in the camp. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's actively showing against the we don't talk about other people's past, because he's obviously trying to show off something. Like, he's obviously being shown as untrustworthy. So why wouldn't he, if he knows that it's Skinner, why wouldn't he rat him out?
He was
Like-
doing it to outsiders, not to the people in the camp. Would be my response to that. But and that's because otherwise, I don't know. We aren't showing him doing it to people in the camp. We're showing to him in the same way that, like, I don't know.
I think we can chalk it
mini
up to
personal-
really bad world building.
Mini personal story, but when I would walk home drunk from college parties, there was a homeless guy in Harvard Square who would play chess with you, and he'd pretend that he for $10, and if you win, you get all his money. He was really good at chess, so he would pretend to be on the ropes, whatever, like kind of just taking advantage of drunk people, but like, and then take your money. And it was fun. It was a cool story. I had a lot of fun, but like, I guess my point being, I don't think he was doing that to other homeless people. And I think that there's a lot of or people within that community, because he wouldn't be trusted to then stay in that community, which they showed had a bond and a level of taking care of each other to some extent. But yeah, I guess let's move on. We have some more positives that we want to talk about.
Yeah, I want to talk about the production just overall, because with Watanabe, I think we all expect like a certain level of quality coming into this. And to me, with Lazarus, this sort of felt like, in terms of writing, this is like Scorsese going from The Departed to The Irishman. However, Watanabe still absolutely killed it in the production side. And so I want to give credit where credit's due. The direction in the show was phenomenal. I think how they handled the parkour scenes and sort of just the movement and just how everything flowed was honestly top notch. If this was somebody's like animation of the year, I would get it. I don't think it is, but like it was way above average. And sort of like there was like a scene in particular where he did like a first person parkour scene and like landed and like their role. And I just thought how that scene was shot in particular was fantastic. Along with like Watanabe films or shows, the OST is always a killer. This one was really good. I don't think it was as good as Carol and Tuesday, which is one of my favorite OSTs just in general. But a lot of, Jolene mentioned that there was a lot of scenes that stuck out because of the music more than what was actually happening on screen. So while I did have my issues mostly with how the show was written, I will not dock it points in terms of production. So if anybody else had anything that they want to talk about on that side, go ahead.
Yeah, I think of note they got the choreographer from John Wick to come in and do some stuff. And I think that shows because, like, again, the action scenes and stuff are good. I read some Watanabe articles on this and like on the reception of it and stuff, and I just thought they would be interesting to pass along. Like, one thing he said that he struggled with was how big his budget was on this because he felt like he could do everything, and it was like hard to cut because they had so many resources that there wasn't like a constraint that helped him focus on what he was doing. Another thing is that he had a writer who helped him with pretty much everything, and she sadly passed away like pretty early on into the production for this. Like, she helped design Axel and come up with like a general plot, and then had to retire because of an illness and then passed away. And he had mentioned that like the loss of her, who he sort of leaned on for like the more intricate writing parts of things, was pretty bad for the show in general. Though, you know, he likes the show and he's more than allowed to. But, you know, it did sound like there were some issues with the whole thing. The sort of the scope might have gotten a little out of hinge, and then, you know, there were some shakeups there. The soundtrack I thought was great. I thought it looked very pretty. Like, it did a very good job of making a grungy world look interesting. They made hacking scenes fun for me, which is always rare. Like, hacking scenes are my Pat's psychic powers, where they're just sort of like, I'm typing at a computer, but like the hand motions and stuff and like the 360 chairs made it a good time. You know, I don't know. I think I wish we just had like more time to discuss this, because I think we have to talk about the problems primarily, but there are fun moments and stuff in this, like, that I can see, you know, like there is joy to be had in here. And I think that the more microscopic you look at it, like the more, if you watch one or two scenes, you're going to enjoy them. But it's sort of like, as the bigger picture unfolds, it sort of falls apart. But like each of the individual components that needed to be tied together, that weren't necessarily tied together through like story and world building and all that stuff, are very well crafted. That, you know, I don't know. That's my thought there.
Okay, so one of the things that annoyed me production wise was specifically, and this is kind of a nitpick, but the thing about, because I watched the dub, one of the things about it is that the voice actors talked fairly slowly for me in the dub, and it kind of made my brain hurt because they were talking so slowly, weirdly enough. And the music kind of helped alleviate that for me. So this is a very odd thing that sometimes happens when I'm watching dubbed anime. Like the voice actors speak very slowly. It makes my brain hurt. And then if the music is good, it keeps me going. This music was amazing, which alleviated the brain hurt. But when there were like moments where the music cut out, it made my brain hurt more. So, yeah, the music was great, but I genuinely hated how slow some of the voice actors talked throughout the show.
Yeah, not much more to say. The music was awesome. I really liked every episode song title, and if you go back and listen to the songs that the titles are referencing, there's a lot of storytelling involved in that as well, in my opinion. From my listening, at least, I thought that they, whether they set the tone for the episode or the greater message, or commented on something that had happened in the show during that episode, I thought it was really well done. Not to mention then the music itself in the episodes. The song that starts and ends the show, so sick, so sick. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but I thought that was really fun. Not to mention the OP and ED as well, where like when I say starts and ends the show, I mean the credit sequences versus the actual OPs and EDs, which were both bangers, absolute bangers. So yeah, that's all I got on that. I guess we'll get to closing thoughts then, just because we're running out of time. All right. Yeah, if anything wasn't touched on, feel free to bring it in here. But yeah, Miles, what are your closing thoughts and your final score for Lazarus?
Yeah, this is an interesting one for me because as we've mentioned, there's a lot of like good technical things. So I sort of really have to come to the reckoning of like how much do I value those, right? Like out of a 10. I don't know. There's some stuff we didn't get to talk about, like that whole assassin plot that didn't do I don't know, that just sort of happened for some reason. There was like an MK Ultra plot that sort of popped out of nowhere. Didn't really touch on the main plot. And it's just sort of things like that. The NSA plot didn't super matter either. I don't know. It was weird. I think it got a little busy and confused at the end. I think that it spent a lot of time meandering at the beginning. I wish it had explored more things more in depth. Though we didn't really get to talk about the cult too much, but they were a cult that didn't use technology that worships an AI. I would love to see how that happened. I would love to see how someone who came from a cult that didn't use technology at all ended up becoming a hacker. And one of the best hackers in like a short period of time after she left that cult. You know, the characters' backstories and stuff are things that I wish were more fleshed out, I guess. You know, they did set it up for a season 2, so maybe we will get that. I did not like the show, but it is a weird show that like I might end up watching a season 2 because I do think it's sort of like eating all the raw pieces to a cake. Like there is a way to mix them up and make something delicious, but like you don't want to just eat flour. That's awful. Um, which is sort of like what you know, I think we got here sort of like half baked. For me, this is I was a 5 out of 10. But I yeah, I was not a big fan of it.
Alrighty. Kat, what about you?
So I liked the music from the show. I really liked the music from the show. It's very enjoyable. I very much liked how much jazz they used, especially now that I'm getting back into more drum grooves and stuff like that. Anyway, outside of that, really liked the choreography. Loved some of the impacts of the action. Animation was great. Other than that, not much. I mean, like, I liked the quote of "There will never be a black Einstein," and I'll punch that dude in the face. That's fun. I like that. That's the black in me. And then there was no more blackness to be seen. So I was like, all right, cool. Wonderful. I get that you're from Japan and you don't get it, but come on, bro. Anyway. Yeah, I just this show was disappointing. Like it's mediocre, but it's the type of bad that's interesting. It's the type of bad that I would equate to like a lesser High Speed X2A, where like it's just like High Speed X2A is bad in such an interesting way. It's super fun. This show is bad in an interesting way where it's mediocre because I don't get a lot of enjoyment out of it, except for the music. The music is going to be something I listen to when I'm at work, just because I'm chilling. Like, but like outside of that, like it's going to be a show where I talk about it to my friends and they're like, "Oh, I really like Lazarus. Oh, you don't like stories. Okay, great." Like that's the thing that I'm going to say just to rage bait him. Anyway, this show to me is a 4 out of 10. I liked a lot of the good things, but there weren't enough of those good things to make them above average. And there was a lot of the bad things, and the bad things made it below average.
Fair enough. All right. Jolene, how about you?
All right. So I think that this show had a lot of potential, but it was just wasted, honestly. I think that this show also doesn't help being by Watanabe. I think it's going to get so many comparisons to Cowboy Bebop. And since that is like a lot of people's number one of all time and has such a gigantic place in specifically the Western anime conscience, that people just and it's an Adult Swim show and they just don't have a great track record at the moment. I don't think there's maybe 2 Adult Swim anime that are considered any decent, so it just has a lot going against it. I think that the positives for this is that it's another feather in Mappa's cap for just beautiful animation. Like, obviously, they have nothing to do with the writing or whatever, but the actual, like, technical side of it was very well done. I think that the last fight where, like, they're, like, running through a skyscraper as it's collapsing is, like, some truly incredible spectacle. But I think that, like, that's kind of all it has going for it is the incredible spectacle and an amazing soundtrack. I love the soundtrack so much. Like I said earlier, Kamase Washington, again, don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, sorry guys, and Bonobo just do a fantastic job for that. I love the OP and ED both. The ED just gave me huge vibes. Like, it was a never skip for me, which is rare for EDs. But I also think that the cast was super half-baked. Like, Doug was basically a non-character at all, apart from a couple cool quips. Leland, his only real character trait was being rich. Like, yeah, he had the drones or whatever, but basically anybody could probably do that sort of thing. It's not like he was, like, super skilled at that. And then the other, like, 3 characters are fine, I guess. I just want a lot more from this show. As someone who loves, like, I love basically all the Watanabe stuff I've watched, which is more or less everything he's done at this point, besides for Terror and Resonance. So, I don't know. I just wanted more to this. At first, I had scored this like a 7, but like the more and more I thought about it and thought about the plot, the lower I got on this. I gave it a 5.5. I'll be generous and round up to a 6 for the purposes.
All right,
By the way,
6.
his name is pronounced Kamasi Washington.
Kamasi. Thank you. Sorry.
No problem.
Sweet. All right, Pete, what about you?
I was trying to think of a nice way on how I was going to do this because I don't really like shitting on shows, especially when it has really good things going for it. Like mentioned earlier, I think the production value in this show is top tier and one of the best of the entire year. But it's like for wrestling fans out there, this is like Logan Paul. It's like it looks good. It looks good. He does things in the ring, but like Logan Paul sucks. Like he like just overall sucks. And so that's kind of like how I was feeling about Lazarus. It's like you can make the most animation and the biggest explosions and the coolest fights, but they only go so far if everything else is working with it. And that's where I lost it. The entire cast could get shot in the head in the show and I wouldn't care about any of them. You could cut episode 3 and 4 from the show and it does nothing to the plot. I don't want a season 2. If anything, I wanted less episodes from this show because if anyone's seen Mission Impossible 2, I got heavy Mission Impossible 2 vibes from this. I feel like it should have been 7 episodes or a movie because we even though we had time to explore characters, we never explored them. I don't know who these people are. And in a character-driven show where you have a cast like this, where you have a Suicide Squad, you have like this Ocean's 11 shit going on, you want to find out who these people are. And like, I like Danny Ocean from Ocean's 11. I like the shark dude from Suicide Squad because those movies made those characters fun to me. They provided context to make me like characters. And in this, why should I like these characters? Because he can do parkour? Okay. Like, it doesn't make a good character. It makes a character cool looking, but doesn't make a good character. I felt there's sometimes plot lines and plot holes that you can just like avoid, but this one had way too many. Like, I don't know. I just think overall this show sucked. I know people are like, there's no way that this could be like the worst anime of the year. This is my front runner for worst anime of the year. I think when you have something like I mentioned it earlier, The Irishman is a terrible, terrible film. And the fact that Martin Scorsese directed it adds to that because Martin Scorsese is a goat. He shouldn't be making The Irishman. Watanabe should not be making Lazarus. And if he is, he should make it the correct way or a good way. Like if you take Watanabe out of this story, Lazarus is a terrible show. And I don't want like the rose-tinted goggles of giving the benefit of the doubt to Watanabe that I have seen with some people. I think the show is just generally bad. I'm gonna give it a 3.
Alrighty. Yeah, I really liked this show. I get apparently a huge minority here, but I think that going in expecting worse probably helped me like it more. And I guess going in knowing that it isn't Cowboy Bebop or isn't some like perfect masterpiece of storytelling probably helped me out. But I could not disagree more with most of you guys about the characters. I feel like it gave us more than enough to chew on, and then we learn about their past or about who they are through their actions and how they interact with people, how they treat other characters in the show, which I thought was like how I interpreted it. And of course, I think where the plot, like, I disagree that the middle episodes aren't relevant to the plot or aren't actually helping them figure out the cure, because the whole point is they're chasing leads that they are desperate for because they have so little time left, and those leads aren't all going to pan out into the next step. And that's the way I viewed it, at least, until they eventually do figure it out. There's so many dumb things that happen in this show too, as I sit here defending it. Like, yeah, the fact that she doesn't bring up the pill right away, that's really fucking dumb. I don't know. I like that there's so many little like tiny things like that that are really dumb and definitely hold this show back. But I guess I it was enjoying it enough that I tuned it out or didn't let it bother me, because it felt, I guess, to use the same movie comparison, like a James Bond movie, or I was going to use Ocean's 11 as a comparison too, or another heist movie or things like that, where all these, or I don't know, I guess like Now You See Me or something like that, like a movie like that where it's like, oh, all these plot contrivances are ridiculous, like that scene of them throwing the card around, like that's such a ridiculous thing, but it was also a cool scene, so I kind of like, I'm like, oh, that's a fun scene.
Just for the record, I also think those movies are stupid.
Fair enough. Like, I think they're dumb, but like that's the type of movie it was. It was a ridiculous scenario. In westerns, people survive ridiculous
Have you seen movie
scenarios,
breakdowns of How Now You See Me by any chance?
No.
Okay, because there are scenarios where they legit need wormholes for things to happen in that story.
yeah, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd, and it's magic. Like it's.
That's not the Prestige.
Movie's so good.
So good. So good.
Never seen it.
Oh, you should. It's incredible.
It's a
Never
white person
seen it
movie, Cat,
either,
but it
yeah.
is good.
That'll immediately drop it down 2 points. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't make the rules.
That's right.
Oh, is that the movie about
magic?
May I? All right.
I'm not going to spoil it if Kat hasn't seen it, because it legit is the entire
the podcast.
Yeah.
Like,
okay,
what?
but if it is the spoiler I'm thinking of, then yes. Okay. All right. Yeah, that movie. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, good movie. Good movie. I feel like there is, anyways, to get back to it, I feel like there is a lot of storytelling done throughout those episodes and world building done throughout those episodes. And I think one thing we didn't touch on is Skinner's broader mental state and what happened, or why he is so, I guess, deluded with the world. And I take it as like he's a mad scientist. He's lost his mind. He's frustrated, but he also still, if he was truly mad and didn't believe in humanity, he would have just killed himself, or would have just never made it so that they could find him and get the cure. So I think that the whole point of that he was trying to make was that there is enough good in the world to save the world, or if there is still enough good in the world, then we can pull together and fix this, or find the solution. We can figure out this problem. And he's still trying to get that point across about global warming in this action, where either they solve it and then hopefully that wakes people up to the problems and the things he was whistleblowing about, and other problems in the world, or everyone dies and then suddenly global warming is fixed because the planet lives on. So I thought he was a very interesting character. I thought Skinner was really cool. I really in like a Joker kind of way, like analyzing his psyche kind of way. So yeah, for me, everyone already touched on all the production things and how awesome it was in that regard. I agree entirely. I think I'm at a 9. I was somewhere between an 8 and a 9. And I had no idea what I was going to rate coming into it. Into this episode, I hadn't given it a rating yet. So I think I think I am going to go with a 9 because I had so much fun with this show, and I cannot believe how far apart we are on it. Honestly, I'm still trying to figure that out, but we'll get there someday. We'll all love Lazarus and wait
We
for
will
a
not
season
get there someday. We will not.
We will agree to disagree, and that's
Exactly.
okay.
We'll get there someday. But yeah, that's brings our total score to a 27 out of 50, which is pretty bad, but that averages out to a 5.4, which is about quite a bit below the Mal score of a
1.79 as I've added a new column to the spreadsheet.
Ooh.
Nice. Oh, that automatically does it for me. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm glad I can see the spreadsheet right in front of me too. That really helps us. That
Well,
helps us a lot now.
Yeah, okay. We added
Love
it
you,
last
Miles.
week.
yeah. 7.19 for Lazarus. So yeah, a little lower in our group on it. I'm surprised it's this high on Mal, just because again, everyone I've talked to about this, I am the first person I think that I have seen like this show more than like thinking it's a 5 or.
If this was on
10.
Crunchyroll, I bet it'd have a lower score.
Fair enough. So yeah, that wraps up our discussion on Lazarus. So Miles, take it away. What are we watching for next club?
Okay, let's see if Watch Club did the funniest thing possible.
If your show
So-
won this week, it'd be so funny.
In third place with 31 points is The Portrait of Petite Cosette. In second place with 32 points is the Uma Musume movie, The Road to the Top or something. I'm sure you'll be nominating that for our horror show, Pete.
I'm actually not even going to nominate it once we're done with our horror show.
Okay.
I have a new one.
And in first with 33 points is Zombieland Saga. But this is where we add in the legacy points, where we now have a tie with Cosette and Zombieland Saga. But because Cosette has more legacy points, it wins. So despite it coming in last, we will
That's what
we will
legacy
be
points are
watching The Portrait of Petite Cosette. I don't know if it like has to work. It definitely doesn't have to work out this way. We had 3 shows, so that probably like increases the odds it will, but the fact that we had 3 shows and it was 31, 32, 33, kind of neat.
Yep.
So that it's very funny because
That
I was
was
prepping
lucky.
that show specifically to nominate this week. And I can't do that now.
I guess there's no rule on re-upping a we've never clarified that. If you could
Look, I
re-up
don't
a show
even
we've
think
already
it's
done.
going to be that good. I just want to watch it. We're not re-upping it.
Okay, cool. Fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So there we go. That's what we're watching. A little early for our Halloween episode, but now we're actually nominating for our Halloween episode.
Yep.
So we need some horror shows. Miles, you need a horror show to nominate. You're going first. Too bad, buddy. Go for it. Let's hear it. What have you got?
Okay, so I guess I have 2 thoughts that I would just like to hear from the class on. One is something that is going to finish airing next week, which is The Summer That Hikaru Died, but I know lots of people are watching that, so if we would rather watch something slightly more classic for like anime horror, I would like to nominate School Live, Gakugarashi, which is sort of like the zombie survival show.
Yep.
That is a famous horror anime, I guess, because all horror anime are bad. So Jolene gave me the thumbs down on Summer Hikaru Died, so I'll do School.
Alrighty. Kat, what about you?
Yeah. So I was thinking about what I should nominate before the episode, and I realized
No, you didn't.
we I thought about what I should nominate like 10 seconds before the episode. Then
During
also
the
happened to
episode.
be 10 seconds before you said, hey, you need to find a new show to watch. You need to find a new show to nominate. So it counts. Anyway, so I was thinking about something that would be fun to watch, and I was like, I really like comedy anime. Let me go ahead and find a comedy anime that is also a horror. Sleepy Princess in the Demon Castle is really fun.
It's not a horror.
Oh,
It is not even close to being a horror.
Is the
I was
Sleepy
thinking about-
Princess show a horror?
Sorry.
No,
I didn't
Patrick.
Mean to say I didn't mean to say horror. I meant to say Halloween. Monsters, ghosts, all that shit. Do I have to do horror?
I mean, that's what we've done for years, at least adjacent.
We've dominated
I-
Zombieland Saga before.
I was
That's
about to say it's
adjacent.
kind of like, it's involving
Sleeping
demons. I don't
Princess
know.
in the Demon Castle is adjacent.
No,
Here's
it's
the thing.
not. Have you seen
Yes,
this
it
show?
is.
You would know it's not even remotely close to that.
Yes, I have. Out of the
Then
9.
it's not even remotely close to that.
Okay, then it's
What's-
not. Then okay.
Can I nominate a show for you that's comedy and horror? And it has a cat
Sure.
in it?
Sure.
All right, Cat nominates Night of the Living Cat.
Yes. We're
Yeah,
doing
that's
okay.
obvious. I feel like
I forgot
There we
about
go.
that show.
If it was obvious, I
Watch
think
this.
Cat would have nominated it.
I've been
Alright,
watching seasonal anime for basically this past year. Honestly.
Jolene, how about you?
I'm gonna nominate 1999's Pet Shop of Horrors.
Fun.
Alrighty.
Only has
like
4 episodes, by the way, guys. if
Like
you
the
wanna watch
musical?
something fast. No,
That's
that's
Little
Little
Shop
Pet Shop
of
of
Horrors.
Horrors.
Oh,
Try
yeah.
and keep up, Miles.
Sorry.
Fake musical fade over here.
You caught me.
Even I do that, and I don't go to musicals.
SMH my head. Oh my goodness, Miles.
Uh,
Pete, what about you?
I mean, if Miles is nominated, I'm going to nominate The Summer Hikaru Died. The show kicks ass.
Alrighty. Yeah, I'm curious about that show. I've heard a lot of people talking about it. So
I'll vote for
there you
it.
go. All right. And I was worried I was going to have Zombieland Saga sniped away from me.
Yo, I already got the thumbnail made, so you should nominate it.
Yeah. Well, I thought I was going to get sniped, so I was going to then nominate High Rise Invasion instead.
Oh
because
my
I thought
god.
that would-
Please
God.
don't.
I thought it would be fun. I thought it'd be fun.
Unironically
How-
worse than Lazarus.
How could it be? How could it be
Pat.
bad?
Pat,
It
I have-
looks so interesting.
That
That's
show-
what I want to know.
How does it look in? You know what? I don't want to know, actually. Never mind.
No, well, just like the synopsis makes
That's
it
okay.
sound
It's
very
okay.
cool. Like and I'm sure it's not. I've heard all the bad things about this show, and I believe it. And like that clip that you showed, Pete, of it is bad.
It's
so
still
production
saved on my
value-wise-
phone.
Yeah, the
still
production
have
value
it.
on it is probably what would kill it for me. It's a 2021 anime too, so that was like peak COVID, like COVID.
It's not even like
effect.
plausible
Yeah.
deniability.
What?
But it's
Oh, there would be. I just guessed what you were going to say incorrectly. I just went
Yeah.
with the it's not old.
No,
Therefore,
well-
there's no plausible. But
No, it's like the peak of like shows that probably got totally hosed by being rushed
Yep.
post COVID or during
it makes
COVID.
a bunch
so
of
yeah.
sense. I just
Um,
guessed what you were going to say wrong.
Mm. No, it's okay. It's okay. But yeah, no. So maybe I am going to nominate Zombieland Saga. We got there, but I thought it was very. I thought it would have been fun, and apparently it's a horror. It piqued my interest when it first got announced, and I'm. God damn it! I just want a good zombie show, man. You know, like it'd be cool.
We get the movie this year, hopefully.
A Zombieland show, a Saga movie too. Yeah, we should
Fingers
watch the
crossed.
whole show. We should watch the whole show right before the movie. That'd be fun.
I've already seen it like 4
Uh,
times.
Me too. Me too. Yeah, Ashley and I watched it to get ready for the movie when it does come out this year, right? Smile.
Hell yeah. I hope so.
Fingers crossed. But alrighty, I think that wraps up Watch Club. So thank you so much for listening, and Pete, take it away.
If you want to support us, the best way to do so, like, comment, subscribe, leave a review on whatever platform you're watching or listening to us on. If you need some new shows, me and Miles just did our fall preview. That's out. Go check it out if you're looking for new seasons for fall. Otherwise, the summer review is next week. So might be an interesting episode. I don't know how we'll structure it because Cosette's going to Japan and Miles has seen 2 shows. So we'll see how that goes. Otherwise, if you're here for Watch Club, we will see you in 2 weeks for Le Peut-être des Petites Cosettes. Thanks, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Bye.